Now, then we have the next one. Still, we are continuing with liberalization. The financial sector reforms. What all changes were brought in the financial sector after 1991 economic policy? The financial sector includes what all? Banking and the non-banking financial institutions. The non-banking financial institutions are like the insurance companies, the stock exchange market, and the foreign exchange market. All these together comprise the financial sector of our country. So, in India, the financial sector is regulated and controlled by the Reserve Bank of India. Yes, it is the apex institute. Liberalization implied a substantial shift in the role of RBI. There was a shift in the role of RBI now from a regulator to a facilitator of the financial sector. Earlier, the RBI was only controlling the financial sector. Yes, but now it was to expand the financial sector. Yes, so as a regulator, the RBI would itself fix interest rate structure for the commercial banks. Everything was done by the RBI. But as a facilitator, that is after the liberalization policy, the RBI would only facilitate the free play of the market forces and leave it to the commercial banks to decide their interest rate structure. Now, although an eye is kept by the central bank on the working of the commercial banks, but each commercial bank can set its own interest rate structure. So the competition rules the decision making process. Any banking system which would give more interest, obviously people will be attracted towards that bank. So depending on this competitions, the banking system exists. Yes. Then the free play of the market forces has led to the emergence of private bankers. We have so many private banks, both domestic as well as international banks in the Indian banking industry. Yes, so many industrial and the foreign banks, HSBC we have, American Express Bank we have, yes. So, and we have so many private banks, yes, coming up. ICICI we have, yes. And then we have the banks like the small banks we have which are granting loans, the small savings banks. So examples of the FII, that is the merchant bankers, mutual funds and the pension funds, they also exist in the market now. Now this demonetization everyone has heard about. I would want everyone to go through this demonetization on your own. If you have any problem, then we can discuss afterwards. Yes, the merits and the demerits they have given of the demonetization. Then come to the fiscal reforms. Fiscal reforms are the reforms which are brought in the taxation structure. The fiscal reforms relate to revenue and expenditure of the government. The tax reforms are the principal component of the fiscal reforms. So the changes in the taxation policy. So everyone knows we have two types of taxes, direct and indirect tax. The direct taxes are those taxes whose burden cannot be shifted to any other person. Like the most common example is the income tax. Yes. Whereas the indirect tax is what? It is imposed on the producer, but the burden of paying the tax can be shifted to the consumers. Like the GST. GST is imposed on the producer by the government, but the burden is shifted to the consumer. So we, on behalf of the producer, we are paying the tax to the government. Yes. We'll be talking about in detail about this in the topic on budget. Then prior to liberalization, the tax structure in the country was very complicated. Yes, and people used to evade tax because of the very high tax slabs. So evasion of tax means people were not wanting to pay tax. So fearing a heavy burden of taxation, people would evade tax. But now the tax structure has been simplified and moderated. Yes, anyone can pay the tax himself easily, file the tax returns easily on one's own. Then we have the external sector reforms. External sector reforms, talking about the foreign sector, the foreign exchange reforms and the foreign trade policy reforms we have here. The foreign exchange reforms were initiated in 91 with the devaluation of the Indian rupee against foreign currencies. It means devaluation means what? The value of our currency was kept low in comparison to the US dollars and the pounds. Yes, the reason being what? If the value of our currency reduces, our currency would say, suppose our currency was rupees 60 earlier. Now the value of our currency becomes rupees 65. So it means earlier the foreigners, say the Americans, were able to purchase with $1 US, they were able to purchase Indian goods worth rupees 60. Now, because of the devaluation, the Americans will be able to purchase Indian goods worth rupees 65. So it means what? The exports of our country will be encouraged this way. We'll be able to export more, although it is at the cost of devaluation, but this will lead to, exports will lead to an inflow of foreign currency. Whenever we are exporting any commodity or service, so we are getting foreign exchange in return. So the country wanted foreign exchange at that time, so it led to it had sorted in a way to go in for devaluation, which would lead to an inflow of foreign currency in the country. So devaluation implies a fall in the value of rupee in comparison to any other currency, implying that, say, suppose US dollar or British pound can be exchanged for more rupees than before, or implying that a US dollar or British pound can buy more goods in the Indian market, thereby encouraging the exports and thereby earning more of foreign exchange. So this increases the supply of foreign currency in the Indian economy. This is what we wanted. Then, presently, exchange rate is determined by the forces of supply and demand in the international exchange market. We talk about this also in the foreign exchange market in macroeconomics in detail. Then foreign trade policy. The foreign trade policy under this, so in the wake of liberalization, the policy also changed. The tariff restrictions have been considerably moderated. Yes, tariffs means the import duties which were imposed, they have been moderated. Yes, the imports and the exports have become very, very less duties are imposed on the imports and exports, so that there is easy exports and imports of the commodities. Then instead of policy of protection to the domestic industry, now there is policy of survival of the fittest. Any amount of the goods from the other countries can flow into our country. We don't have any quota system now. So earlier it was done to protect the domestic industries, but now everything is open. Any industry, if it wants to survive, it has to face a foreign competition. Yes, then market competition has replaced the policy of quotas and tariffs. So efficiency is a benchmark of growth, not simply expansion. Anyone which is efficient, any industry which is efficient will be able to survive.